Do you know that there are people in the Bible that migrated as well? Are you a migrant and you're wondering, what am I really doing here? Why am I here? Am I fulfilling God's purpose for my life? Is this the will of God? Am I in the right country? Am I in the right place? What's my plan? Do I want to go back home after a few years? Do I want to maintain two locations? Do I want to move permanently? These are some of the questions that I addressed in my new book, Beyond the Border. It's a popular book among Nigerians when they say Japa is like migration, but people migrate without purpose. Many people migrate without purpose. Some go for opportunities, some go for better life, some just tagged along their partner without any plan. And once they arrive, they found out that things are quite different and they're wondering, is this it? So I've put together the different strategies that you can adopt for your own Japa story. Do you want to be a secular Japa, come and go after you have built some capital equity or learned a skill or gotten a passport and to help you with your international trade or anything like that? So that's the secular one. Then we have the transnational one, which is maintaining two homes, spend a few months here, spend a few months there, employ a manager back here, and ensure that things are moving smoothly. Then the third one is the final one, which is the permanent one. And you decide exactly that you are relocating for good and you're building root down in the new country that you are now in. I'll give a few examples from the Bible, the people that relocated. And when I ask these questions, who is the first person that relocated? Most people say it's Abraham. But actually, the first person that was moved, I'll use that word moved, was Adam. And Adam was moved from the Garden of Eden to a different location. And most people think it was an act of punishment. It wasn't necessarily punishment, it was an act of mercy, if you think about it. In Genesis chapter 4 and verse 22, God said, this man has become like one of us. If we let him stay in the garden, he's going to eat the tree of life and live forever. So that was a dangerous thing. If he had succeeded in doing that, he would have lived forever in a condemned state. You can imagine him being like the devil because he knows there is no other room for repentance and he would just be another devil. Just imagine having two devils in this world that we are in. That would have been a disaster. That was not just the reason why God relocated him. One other reason, first, so that he doesn't self-destruct by eating knowledge of fruit of life and live forever. It was also to preserve the future generation of mankind. And that paved the way for the redemption of man later on through the seed of the woman, that is Jesus. So there are other stories in the Bible of relocation, and two in particular that ended not so palatable, sadly, I would say, is Elimelech. A lot of people might not know him. Elimelech was the husband of Naomi, was the great grandmother of David. Well, how did that happen? That's Naomi went away with Ruth after the Elimelech died. Elimelech was supposed to just travel for a bit, a short while. That's what he said. If you read Ruth chapter 1 and 2, NIV, he said he was living for a short while. But the man relocated, and when he went to the abroad, he saw that life was good, and he got carried away and he died without fulfilling the prophecy that was given 10 generation away, or maybe you would say maybe 7 generation away, or yeah, there about 6 or 7 generation away, that was given to Judah, that his lineage would produce the king. But Elimelech was going to sabotage that process by relocating. I'm sure God would have ministered to him over and again that he should go back, but he ended up dying in a foreign land. The children should have seen the handwriting and taken that lesson and relocated with their mother. But what they decided was, we'll marry these unbelievers. And they did, unfortunately for them. Maybe they even thought they would convert them to Christianity. But eventually they died, like we all know. And the two wives are now left with Naomi, Ruth and Orpah. And Ruth decided to go with the mother-in-law. And you know how the story ends. She ended up marrying Boaz, gave birth to Obed, gave birth to Jesse, and Jesse gave birth to David the king. So from Judah to David, exactly 10 generations. But if Elimelech had listened to the voice of the Spirit, he would have understood that his relocation was a temporary one, and that would have turned the whole story about. The second example is Jacob first ran away out of guilt, and he understood the relocation was temporal. After he spent 21 years thereabout, he came back. Of course, I did do a deep dive into Jacob's relocation and what we can learn from that first relocation. The second one was when Joseph became king or prime minister, if you like, and Jacob did a second relocation. But Jacob should have just gone, see Joseph, stay with his within the 7 years of famine, because the first 7 years was plenty, the next 7 years was famine, and he would have been fine to go back. But like many of us, Jacob saw that the abroad was dream come true. After all, your son is now prime minister. Why would I want to go back? And he stayed, and of course he died there. And that mistake, I would say, cost the children of Israel to stay in bondage for 430 years. So that is a kind of mistake people can make when they don't understand their relocation or migration purpose. So in this book, I did do a lot of deep dive to explain how you can find your purpose through biblical relocation, and how you can mirror that relocation to understand your own purpose for relocation. So you don't make the mistakes that Elimelech or Jacob made when they relocated. You can find a copy of this book on Amazon. I titled it Beyond the Border, Japa'd with Purpose. Finding God's sovereign plan in your relocation move or in your move abroad. So you find it in Amazon and in hardcover, paperback, and ebook. I'm available for questions. If you have questions, you can send them across. If you want us to do a deep dive into this book and other topics on relocation, career, or personal finance, those are my area of specialty. And you can do send a message, and you'll find details on my page. And until next time, I'll see you. Bye bye.